Hare Krishna, everyone. If you can stand and come a bit closer. Now the arti is beginning. Chant along. Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki Jai. Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki Jai. Shri Shri Gauranitai ki Jai. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Vistinamine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Yeti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Asatra Deshakarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhaktavedanta Haribo Hare Krishna Hare Shri Shri Gaurnikaya Ki.
Hare Krishna. So everybody please sit down. The Aarti, we will finish the Aarti with Narasimha prayers. Aarti is not complete yet. Hare Krishna. Namaste Narasimhaya. so well. Plays really nicely.
Dana. Hmm? Yeah, no, the 4:30 is like, it's such a nice. Yeah.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna
He was quite a tyrant as well.
Hare Rama
So,
Hare Krishna Krishna
and then so then he tried to say he just
Hare Krishna
he tried to send them back to school, but still very devoted to
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama
that his guards tried to kill
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama
he was worshipping
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama
done some very special yoga,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare,
and then so he'd been
Hare
blessed, so
Krishna
Lord
Krishna
Brahma was meant to be the
Krishna Hare
creator
Hare,
of this
Hare
world.
Rama
He's the demigod that works on the
Hare
Hare
Krishna 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 Hare
his
Hare,
job as the
Hare
creator.
Rama
So he came to
Rama
encourage while he was doing all these austerities.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama
I want to be a
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare
even I'm
Hare Krishna Krishna
after many years
Krishna
I'm
Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama
so that
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama
on any weapons
Hare
or
Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama
oh yes, I'm not in the
Hare
day.
Krishna 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 Hare
Day
Hare,
and night.
Hare
So even you had
Rama
okay, wait.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama
Yes, and you thought he's got it all covered, right? Okay, fine. I'm
Hare
not
Krishna
mortal, but you know,
Krishna Krishna
I think
Hare
I've got all my
Hare,
ground
Hare
covered.
Rama
So he said then Lord Brahma and
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama
so that's why he felt so
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama
So anyway,
Rama
he was
Rama
such a
Hare
tyrant that no
Hare
one
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
everyone was just, you know, if he raised his eyebrow, like the demigods would tremble. Everyone was completely, we think that dictators and tyrants nowadays are bad, but he was another level.
I have a question. You know when you said about the sea, how was the sea scared of him? Because the sea god. Yeah, the sea god.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna
He must
Krishna,
have a really
Hare Hare,
special
Hare
soft spot
Rama,
between them.
Rama
Isn't that, I
Rama,
think it's like his,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
which is
Hare
funny
Rama,
because I
Rama
spent my whole childhood
Rama,
screaming. I found out when I was older.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
I kind of say it everywhere, like, that's my reflex.
Hare Krishna,
Yeah, so she
Krishna
would just
Krishna,
when she was
Hare
old,
Hare, Hare
she
Rama,
was at the top of the stairs. I didn't have a staircase, I don't know.
Hare Krishna,
She was at the top of the stairs, and she just figured out how to come down, like turn around and come down the stairs, and she went to the top of it, and I was coming, and she got so excited,
Hare
and she
Krishna,
fell forward, and like our stairs come round, it's quite a long way, and she just fell like a ragdoll, and she thought,
Krishna,
how
Hare
to
Hare,
survive this,
Hare
like,
Rama,
and while she was going, I knew I wouldn't be able to
Hare
like,
Krishna,
she was like going so fast,
Hare
and I
Hare,
was just like,
Hare
I
Rama,
just froze, and I was like,
Rama
pushing it out, pushing it out, pushing it out,
Hare
pushing it out, pushing it out, pushing it out, and
Krishna,
by the time she got to
Hare
the bottom,
Rama,
I actually thought,
Hare Hare,
just
Hare
you
Krishna,
know, and luckily, like, she lifted her head up and started crying,
Hare
and
Rama,
she broke her arm,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
like,
Hare Hare,
down,
Hare
like the
Rama,
full flight of stairs,
Rama,
so,
Hare
yeah, at the
Krishna,
same time,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
they
Hare
got this
Hare,
in the
Hare Rama, Hare Krishna,
Sorry, she won't be able to. Yeah, the kids get called so quickly.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama
want it back, yeah? No, we want the application here. Okay. Would you like to open it? Or should I just offer it like this? I can show like this. Or I can open it and show. Yeah, yeah. Should I do it? Yeah.
I think what is it?
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, everyone. So we're going to have the 6 p.m. Bhagavad-Gita class right now. And then in an hour's time, the Guru Arti will be taking place. So, yes, for now we're going to have Krishna Katha. If you have a Bhagavad-Gita on your phone, you're in great. You can bring it out. Otherwise, Hare Krishna. So we'll just start with the Jai Radha Madhav, and then we'll continue and proceed. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sing along. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Your time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokula Nanda Radha Gokula Nanda Radha Gokula Nanda Shri Radhe Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada Nitai Gora Haribol 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 Nitai Gora Haribol Jai Gaur Pramanande, Shishi Radha Gokulananda ki, Shishi Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shishi Gaur Nitai ki, Shila Jagat Guru, Shila Prabhupada ki. So Hare Krishna everyone and welcome to the Bhagavad Gita class. It's so wonderful to see so many faces. So what we'll start is with an invocation, Mangalacharan, and then after that we'll read the Bhagavad Gita from chapter 11, which is the universal form, verse 33, in Sanskrit, then transliteration, and then translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. So we'll just start with a little bit of prayer for blessings, and then we'll continue. Om Jnana Timendasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmei Shri Guruve Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschacha Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So first and foremost, before we commence this class, I beg and seek for the forgiveness of all the present devotees here in the temple room and everyone that are watching online. There's still so much yet for me to learn myself, so for any mistake that I make or any error that I make, please do forgive me. Vanchakalpa tarubhishcha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha anantakoti vaishnavinda ki jai. So once again, thank you all so much for being here, and thank you for everyone that is watching online. I know that for those that are watching online, there's a comment section. So if you also have any reflection or any question that you may want to ask, please do feel free just to comment it there, and then somehow we'll try and find a way to get back to you. Hare Krishna. So, as I've mentioned earlier on, we're reading from chapter 11, verse 33, which is all about the universal form, how Arjuna requested from Krishna that he wants to see the universal form. And not really for his benefit, but more so for our benefit and for those in the future to come. So we'll read the Sanskrit, and I beg for forgiveness. My Sanskrit isn't the greatest, but yeah, maybe you guys can do much better. So I'll start. Tasmat tvam utishta yasho labashva. So the way it works is that I read one line and you repeat it. If you have your phone, then you can search it up on your phone. It's basically Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, verse 33. But Bhagavad Gita as it is, because we'll be reading the translation. Jitva satrum bhukshva rajyam samridam Maya Veti Nihata Purvameva Nimitta Matram Bhava Savya Sachin Tasmatvam Utishta Yasho Labasva Jitva Shatrum Bhunksva Rajyam Samridam Maya Veti Nihata Purvam Eva Nimitta Matram Bhava Savya Sachin Tasmatvam Utishta Yasho Labasva Jitva Chaturun Bhunksva Rajyam Samridam Maya veti nihata purvameva nimitta matram bhava savya sachin. So if you're feeling courageous enough, you can try that out and then we'll repeat it with you. I'd really highly recommend that if you do have a phone or some way to access it, then do so, because we'll be also reading Srila Prabhupada's purport. And yeah, it can get quite lengthy sometimes and difficult to remember everything he's saying, which is fundamentally very important. So you can give it a shot in Sanskrit and then we'll repeat after you. Does anyone want to try? Anyone else? Anyone wants to read it in Sanskrit? No? All right, then we'll just move on to the transliteration next. So just repeat after me. Tasmat, therefore. Tvam, you. Utishta, get up. Yasha, fame. Labasva, gain. Jitva, conquering. Shatrun, enemies. Bhunksva, enjoy. Rajyam, kingdom. Samridam, flourishing. Maya, by me. Eva, certainly. Ete, all these. Nihataha, killed. Purvam, Eva, by previous arrangement. Nimitta, matram, just the cause. Bhav, bhava, become. Savyasachin, O Savyasachi. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Therefore get up, prepare to fight and win glory, conquer your enemies and enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement, and you, O Savyasachi, can be an instrument in the fight. Repeat after me. Therefore get up, prepare to fight and win glory, conquer your enemies and enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement, and you, O Savyasachi, can be but an instrument in the fight. Thank you. Purport. Savyasachin refers to one who can shoot arrows very expertly in the field. Thus, Arjuna is addressed as an expert warrior capable of delivering arrows to kill his enemies. Just become an instrument, nimitta matram. This word is also very significant. The whole world is moving according to the plan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Foolish persons who do not have sufficient knowledge think that nature is moving without a plan, and all manifestations are but accidental formations. There are many so-called scientists who suggest that perhaps it was like this or maybe like that. But there is no question of perhaps and maybe. There is a specific plan being carried out in this material world. What is this plan? This cosmic manifestation is a chance for the conditioned soul to go back to Godhead, back to home. As long as they have the domineering mentality which makes them try to lord it over material nature, they are conditioned. But anyone who can understand the plan of the Supreme Lord and cultivate Krishna consciousness is most intelligent.
The creation and destruction of the cosmic manifestation are under the superior guidance of God. Thus, the battle of Kurukshetra was fought according to the plan of God. Arjuna was refusing to fight, but he was told that he should fight in accordance with the desire of the Supreme Lord. Then he would be happy. If one is in full Krishna consciousness and his life is devoted to the Lord's transcendental service, he is perfect. So, a very interesting verse, to say the least. I feel like it's very relevant personally for me in my life right now. How we can all aspire to be an instrument for Krishna. So, that's what this topic will really be all about. It'll be about, how Krishna is time, how we should utilize time. And actually, how for a devotee, time is not something to fear as much as it is for a non-devotee. For a non-devotee, time can be a very fearful factor. And how we can actually utilize it to serve. And then we'll move on to the actual verse itself, chapter 11, verse 33, how we can become an instrument for Krishna in this world. Because actually there's only two options. Those two options are either we're an instrument for Krishna or we're an instrument for Maya. And one allows us to be able to understand who we are and understand what our relationship with Krishna is. And the other one makes us wander around in this world, suffering. So let us begin. So first of all, what I want to do is I want to refer back to, because some of you, this may be your first Bhagavad Gita class, you may not know the plot, the story, or what happened in the previous verse. So I want to first just cover the previous verse and then move on to the current verse, if that's okay with you. Okay. So in the previous verse, just translating it in English rather than going through Sanskrit, Arjuna basically asks the question to Krishna, who are you and why have you appeared? And if we actually look back on it, it says that the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Time I am, the great destroyer of the worlds, and I have come here to destroy all people. With the exception of you, the Pandavas, all the soldiers here on both sides will be slain." So that's what Krishna says when Arjuna inquires about who Krishna is in this form, in this feature form. And one thing that really I want to touch upon this topic, I want to make it very relevant and very practical to our day-to-day life. Krishna specifically mentions how he is time. And, in the world they say how time is money. Time is money. But actually, time is not just money. Time is the most valuable asset for every single one of us. When Parikshit Maharaj, he knew that he had 7 days to live, he utilized that very consciously to be Krishna conscious, to inquire, to be inquisitive. So that's really important to remember, that when we understand that time is Krishna, then what happens is that time no longer becomes a fearful factor. Time doesn't, like for a non-devotee, the most afraid thing that thereof is the end of their time. Because what does that mean? That means that they'll have to leave this body. It means that they're no longer going to be able to experience sense enjoyment, that they'll have to leave their loved ones, their family, their friends, everything around them. But actually, if we reverse that, for a devotee, time isn't necessarily a fearful factor in that sense, but rather, for a devotee, they don't want to waste time. They don't want to waste a single moment that they could be utilizing in devotional service. Srila Prabhupada actually said, in our final moment, everything that we have done up until that point will be revealed. All of our sadhana, our chanting, our bhajan, our studies of Shastra, everything will be revealed. So therefore we understand that for a non-devotee, the most important factor, the most important element is that they don't want to waste time. They don't want to waste a single moment of time, because that time could be utilized to be Krishna conscious. So therefore, the degree that we become Krishna consciousness, time either becomes friendly or unfriendly. Is that clear? So that's what it's dependent on. The more Krishna consciousness we become, then time becomes our friend. the less that we are Krishna consciousness, then time becomes a very unfriendly and unwelcome guest in our life. And so therefore, for a non-devotee, really they use their time to remember Krishna. And it encourages them to inquire about Krishna. And then for the non-devotee, they're always thinking about, how can I have more? How can I become more powerful? How can I develop this? How can I acquire more? And people, how many of you feel this way? And people start to feel crushed by the wheel of time. Sometimes we get very afraid. It's like, where did the time go? We're growing so old, and we get very afraid and scared. So then Krishna says in the Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 10, verse 33, among all kinds of killers, time is the ultimate because time kills everything. You see, that's why we don't want to inquire about time, because time represents what will one day be taken away from us. And we don't want anything taken away from us. But we must also understand that nothing belongs to us. So therefore, this Kala Chakra, this factor of time, controls activities, it controls destiny, it controls everything. We must realize in this world, actually, everything is happening and we are just simply an instrument. We are an instrument, and we suffer the moment that we go against our nature. We're just simply a tenant in this body and in this world. So therefore, time is really, really important, and my encouragement really is that when we remember Krishna, when we remember time, we should try and really utilize it in a way that is proficient, effective, and spiritual. And then therefore, the other factor of it, the other important thing is that in this world, the living entities, so yourself and I, we're either rewarded both good and bad reaction at the right time, in the right place, in the right context, and just the right amount. Is that clear? So therefore, as long as we're living in this world, we have a bank of karmic reaction. And we get it rewarded exactly at the right time, the right moment, the right place, the right context. Sometimes an event may take place in our life, a situation may happen, and we may think, like, why me? Why is this happening? But we must realize that we have that bank of karmic reaction that needs to be deposited. And it takes time. Sometimes it takes time. But actually also the mentality in Sri Ishopanishad, we're very much encouraged that the mentality should be that when we go through these circumstances, when we go through these situations, it should be a reminder, a very grave and sober reminder of the fact that we're not welcomed in this world. That it's like, let's say someone is lending you their home and they're allowing you to stay for a certain period of time, but you kind of overstay the set amount that you're given. After a while, that person will get annoyed, right? Or they'll be like, okay, can you leave? So similarly with us, that we are in this world for a certain period of time, but we must also recognize and acknowledge that this is not our home, that we're not necessarily really welcomed here. And so therefore we go through challenges and situations and circumstances, and the mentality should be, what can I learn from this in order to be more Krishna conscious? To develop self-realization. And self-realization ultimately means God realization. It means that everything does belong to Krishna. And that we have been given a set of quota in this world for us to utilize in order to come closer to Krishna. And so one thing that is really, really powerful that I want to just relay is something that Bhakti Swami said. And he said that Krishna doesn't put you into anxiety. You put yourself into anxiety. Krishna simply makes you go through your course of karmic reaction. So it's not Krishna that puts us into anxiety. Every single one of us, we must realize that in past lives, that We have done activities. We have been engaged in situations where we've accumulated karma. And therefore, in this lifetime, we're just making up for that. But the most important element is that actually, first of all, when you become Krishna consciousness, those karmic reaction gets minimized. And secondly, it's like, how can you utilize this as an opportunity to come closer to Krishna and to develop a relationship with Krishna? Actually, when we feel alone in this world, when we feel disconnected in this world, when we feel like we're suffering in this world, really it's because we're disconnected from Krishna. Our consciousness, and when I say disconnected from Krishna, I mean our consciousness is disconnected from Krishna. Because we can never be separate from Krishna. The analogy that's utilized is the sun and the sun ray. The sun ray can never be disconnected from the sun. But our consciousness is what separates us from Krishna. And so, who controls time? Krishna controls time. And who controls Krishna? Srimati Radharani. Or even more powerful, his devotees, through their bhakti, through their love and devotion to him. So that's also a very important thing that I want to touch upon just slightly. That, we must, while we have the time in this world, we must also do our best and try our best not to offend devotees. Actually, every morning when we wake up and we're reciting the 10 offenses of the holy name, one of the offenses is to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. That actually Krishna is in the heart of the devotees, and the devotees are in the hearts of Krishna. Therefore, it's quite very interesting and intriguing how, and I'm sidetracking, but it's really important how sometimes we come into the process of Krishna consciousness and we're practicing Krishna consciousness or spiritual life for a set amount of period of time. And while we're gaining sukriti, simultaneously we're losing sukriti, piety. How? Through gossip, through criticism, comparison, competitiveness, through all these things that are really diminishing and vanquishing our spiritual progress. And it's very subtle. It's very, very subtle, but it's something that we must really do our best to be conscious of. So therefore in the chapter 32, Krishna's revealing that he is time. And then Arjuna asks, then why did he come in this feature? And so this is quite a really interesting part, because Krishna says that he has come, because we know that the battle of Kurukshetra, actually Krishna just wanted to bring all of the soldiers, an army and everyone together to annihilate them. It was all the arrangement of the Lord for everyone to come to one place and for them to be annihilated. So therefore he's come in this battlefield, and the only people you can say that he spared was the Pandavas, who were practicing Dharma. So when we practice Dharma, Dharma protects us. For one that takes on the process of Krishna consciousness, Krishna promises that person particularly that he will protect them, that they will never suffer. So then one may ask, if Krishna is promising in the Bhagavad Gita that, for the one that takes on the process of Krishna consciousness, that they won't, Krishna will always be there for them, then how come when we look around we see devotees that are suffering? But actually it's not necessarily like that, because ultimately the real suffering is thinking that we belong in this world. That we're still attached to our senses. Krishna, when he talks about that whole concept of he's protecting us, really he's protecting our spiritual life. The most dangerous thing in this world is spiritual suicide. Therefore, So what Krishna actually reveals to Arjun is that, all the soldiers in this battlefield, especially when Arjun, all odds were stacked against him, and he thought to himself, like, okay, how am I going to overcome this? What's going to come of this? And then when he sees that universal form and he sees how the soldiers and the warriors and everyone are being annihilated, then what happens is that mission impossible becomes mission unstoppable. And that's what we must realize, is that our life is actually playing out. It's happening as it's supposed to happen. And when we have that intensity, that desire to serve, then Krishna empowers us to follow through what he wills for us. We have a choice. And if we make the right choices, then Krishna empowers us. So therefore, for the life of a devotee, everything is fixed. We may think that nothing can go wrong, but yeah, nothing can go wrong as long as we're following the instruction of the spiritual master. And why do I talk about that? Because we can actually take from the personal examples of disciples of Srila Prabhupada. In the material world, you need qualification in order to prosper, in order to succeed. But actually, in spiritual life, it's reversal. It's not the qualification that's important, it's your intensity, your desire to serve. That's the only qualification. Because for a devotee, when they take on the process of Krishna consciousness, and Srila Prabhupada said, Krishna consciousness in Shastra, it says that a devotee has all good qualities. When one takes on the process of Krishna consciousness, then they become expert. And we see that through the lives of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada and devotees even here at Bhaktivedanta Manor, that before they came into this process of Krishna consciousness, they may have been working in a certain field, and that's all they may have known. But here, when we come to the temple and even disciples, we are actually put into such a wide range, diverse soul services. And we learn and we pick up very quickly. And over time, we develop such wonderful qualities, and we're able to execute such wonderful projects. Like you see today, we have over thousands of temples, hundreds of temples. In the beginning, when disciples were building temples in New Vrindavan and all these different places, these are wonderful devotees, wonderful disciples, but just seeing their background and where they have come from. When I show people around, when I give people tour and I tell them about that, they think, how is that possible? For someone that's just come from the street, maybe alcoholic, drunk, smoking, whatever, and then suddenly their life is just completely transformed, and now they're leaders, traveling around, establishing projects, establishing temples. So this is an example. It's an example how when one takes on the process of Krishna consciousness, one develops wonderful qualities and becomes expert. And so, therefore, when we think we can't do something, we can. It's just that we're disconnecting ourselves from empowerment. That's very important to remember. We all have the ability, we all have the potential to execute wonderful things, but we're disconnecting from empowerment. We're consciously, in our mind, disconnecting from Krishna. Therefore, this lesson is that when Krishna is on our side, there's two symptoms. When we understand and when we acknowledge that Krishna is actually on our side, there's two symptoms. We develop relief and we develop confidence. And these two things we can see practically in society. Many people lack relief. We're always constantly chasing for relief. Whether it's in medicine, whether it's through drugs, whatever it may be, we're always, and confidence. Self-confidence is something that many, many people lack today. So it's so wonderful how just through understanding that Krishna is on our side, we can develop these two symptoms very naturally, very quickly. Because ultimately, Krishna is the controller of everything. And so therefore we know that he'll never let us down. He'll never fail us. So that's really chapter 11, verse 32. And now I just want to move on to the current chapter that we're in, where Krishna is telling Arjuna what is the course of action that he should take, what it is that he should do. So he's explained that I am time, and I've explained that, these are the features of Krishna and how time can actually be our friends and work with us. So now Krishna is telling Arjuna what he should do. And so it says, Tasmat. Krishna is telling, because he has shown this particular feature to Arjuna, where everyone is being put to rest. So he's shown this feature, and so Krishna is telling, look, you've seen this. Now get up and fight and become an instrument. So the most important thing is, with us, without us, life is happening. Things are happening. But Krishna is so amazing. Krishna is so merciful that ultimately he wants to give that glory to his devotees. Just like the devotees want to take a center position, not for themselves, but to glorify Krishna, to speak about Krishna. Sometimes there's certain things that devotees must do, but they don't necessarily want to do. But they're doing it for a higher purpose, for a higher cause. Shishi Radha Gokulananda ki, Shishi Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shishi Gauri Nitai ki. So, and Krishna says to Arjuna that you'll be victorious. Not to worry, but to conquer the enemies. So that's very important to remember. And one of the qualities of devotees is humility. Humility. And I was reading Radhanath Swami's book, The Journey Within, and there's a beautiful example that's utilized there. The example of how a salt, whenever you take a particular dish and you add salt into it, it enhances the flavor of everything. But yet no one goes around and says what a delicious salt this is. They always, they talk about and they glorify everything else other than the salt. And so that's one of the quality of devotees, that they go around and glorifying Krishna, talking about Krishna and Srila Prabhupada, but they don't take anything for themselves. They put themselves at the center of attention, not because they want to be at the center of the attention, but how can they put Srila Prabhupada and Krishna at the center? Because this is Sanatan Dharma. Prabhupada came to America and he said, I have not come to teach anything new. I have come to remind you of what you've forgotten. And so Krishna says in chapter 33 that, that in the past, everyone has been destroyed, all these enemies. All these enemies have been annihilated. This battle has already taken place. It's already happened. So it's a little bit confusing, because what does it mean? The war didn't even happen, at least like from our vision seeing, or from Arjuna's vision seeing. Nobody's been killed. But actually it's quite really interesting when I was doing a research that, in the first chapter, if we remember, Krishna actually says to Arjuna, or Arjuna says to Krishna, to take me at the middle of the battlefield. I want to see who it is that I'm fighting. I want to see what it is that I'm facing up to. And so when Krishna takes Arjuna in the middle of the battlefield, the moment that Krishna glances, and this actually also is narrated in Srimad Bhagavatam, the moment that Krishna actually takes a glance at everyone in that battlefield, their lifespan is cut in half, is cut short. Because Krishna is really furious in how Draupadi was humiliated. And that's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that, when sometimes unintentionally, when we may do things that could be offensive to Krishna, Krishna forgives. But now, when we intentionally, or even unintentionally also, when we go around and when we offend devotees, then it's very difficult for Krishna to forgive. Because like I mentioned earlier on, that devotees are the heart of Krishna. So when we go and offend devotees, actually we're also hurting Krishna's heart. It's like when you have someone so dear to you, and then you see them being hurt, it also hurts you. So that's one thing that we must really try and avoid. So we must try and avoid that. Just a moment. And so, like earlier on, as I was also relaying, is that I've already touched upon this topic in the previous chapter, how, devotees are super expert. So therefore and Krishna says, one who worships Krishna, Krishna gives them intelligence by which they can do impossible things. Krishna is the source of remembrance, and Krishna is the source of forgetfulness. So that's one of the most important things. They say that in the process of learning, Shravanam, we hear something, then we contemplate on it, then we apply it, but the most important thing is we pray. Because we can't do things on our own. We can only do things through the empowerment of Krishna. And so therefore, Krishna calls Arjuna Savyasachi. And I think this is the most important thing I want to conclude to, that Krishna says that he is the ability in man. That's why, again, it's so important to pray. Krishna says that he is the ability in man. A very beautiful thing that a devotee told me the other day is that sometimes we may feel incapable to do something. But when we actually have a very strong intensity desire to do it anyway, Krishna gives us the ability. Because he is the ability in man. And I'm sure you can all think of a time in your life, a moment in your life, where you felt that you were unable to do something, but you had a very intense desire and you got it done. And that's from Krishna. Krishna is the ability in man. So therefore, just like Arjuna was possessing the ability to be able to shoot arrows from both hands, and Krishna supporting him by calling him Savyasachi, fight, go, become an instrument. But don't think that you are the doer. Just be an instrument. Because the moment that we become prideful, the moment that we think that we are doing something through our own ability, Krishna can very easily take away that ability. It doesn't belong to us. We must pray sincerely and intensely that Krishna is able to give us the ability to be able to do what we can to serve him. And I'm going to conclude with one thing, that actually all of us have an ability that Krishna has given us. Some of us have the ability to give wonderful classes. Some of us have the ability to sing. Some of us have the ability to distribute books. Some of us have the ability to be a good parent, a good mother, a good father. We all have ability. We all have qualities. We all have something that Krishna has given us. But we must realize that this life, this time factor, at least in this material world speaking, for all of us is very temporary. So Krishna has given us ability, and Krishna has given us an opportunity. And if we don't utilize that opportunity, then we've wasted the human form of life. The purpose of life is self-realization and God-realization. So, and we shouldn't really get confused about that. That, in life, sometimes we create so many purposes, but we forget the most important purpose. Yes, we do have responsibilities, and yes, we do have duties, but we must learn how we can dovetail that to Krishna. Otherwise, we can get really we become drowned in this world of so many purposes that we are performing, but we forget the most important purpose, which is to serve, to have our mind fixed on Krishna. And that's what it is. When we don't have our mind fixed in Krishna, then we're trying to make better facility for ourselves in this material world. I've done it, and I'm sure you've all done it. How can I have a more peaceful life in this world? How can I become more stable in this world? How can I be more balanced in this world? But the whole idea is that we're being shaken up so much so that we can see. Krishna's trying to give us the vision that we can see that, look, work, perform your duty, don't be attached to the result, and find a way to get out of this world. This samsara, this cycle of birth and death. Because Kali Yuga isn't getting any better. It's just getting worse. So don't try and make nice facilities for yourself, knowing that one day you'll lose it all anyway. And that's the most important realization. Material world has problems, and the material world is a problem. So I'll conclude it with there. Thank you all so much for listening. If you have any question, please do feel free, and I'll try my best to answer. Otherwise, there's wonderful people here that can answer also. I've mentioned it earlier on. So the most important thing is Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, perform your duties, perform your activities, but know and realize that don't be attached to the results of your activity. And that's the most important thing, attachment. When we become attached to things, then that's when we when we suffer. We must surrender it to Krishna. With attachment comes obsession, lamentation, worry, anxiety. Ultimately, everything, and that's the most beautiful thing I remember from Krishna book. The jiva is dancing and Krishna is dancing. But Krishna is the master and we are the conditioned souls. So we can either dance under the direction of Krishna, or we can dance under the direction of Maya. One is guiding us to a place of eternality where we can be happy, blissful. Basically, our Sat Chit Ananda quality, our spiritual quality. And the other one is always trying to seek and find for ways through what we have in this world to be comfortable. But I promise you, material world is a very uncomfortable place. You're welcome. Oh.
You kind of answered with the
Okay.
right now, but it is like we do have a lot of problems or enemies. Sometimes we are our own enemy in life. So how can we overcome these obstacles and at the same time always be in a humble state and always try not to make our problems, try to keep being soft in the heart, even if the problems are make us
It's actually really quite interesting. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that, the mind could be one's best friend or it could be the worst enemy. It can become a source of elevation or a degradation. So that's one thing that we must be wary of and mindful of, the mind. The mind has this nature, it has this quality that you've gone through particular things. So for example, I was doing some research today morning. One of the thing that the mind can do is catastrophizing. Have you ever heard of that terminology? So it's like you're in a normal situation and then maybe some things have happened in the past or some incidents, and then your mind starts to create this whole scenario, this whole situation. It's the false ego. When we are centered around me, myself, I, then these sort of things becomes very tempting. And so that's why Srila Prabhupada is so amazing. He's given us this beautiful process of Veda Bhakti. He's given us this beautiful Krishna consciousness. And if we apply ourselves, then actually we can get free from all that. Mental speculation, worry, anxiety, all these things. And we understand the true goal and purpose of life and the temporality of this world. So actually that's the most important thing, that we just apply ourselves, we practice. Practice, actually, it makes perfect. So we just need to practice this process and stick with it. That's the hardest thing, sticking with it. Because another thing, another nature, another quality of the mind is that it wants to see results immediately. But Krishna consciousness is like a tree, that's like a seed that's planted in the soil, and it takes quite a while before it grows and becomes strong and it develops a very strong root. But we don't give it enough time, we don't give it enough opportunity to be able to experience that. So we kind of leave our seed very weak. very vulnerable. So you just need to stick with it. And over time, you'll learn to overcome the mind. You'll start to make a distinction between what is real and what is not. Anyone else? Okay, if there's no any other question, then Antaraj Srimad Bhagavad-Gita Ki, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you were able to take something from it. I hope I was able to take something from it too. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. she kind of gets a bit funny.
I can sing like in the background.
Yeah. Just do that. He'll support you.
You will be here.
Imagine
You can support.
No, please. I don't. So what does that mean about me? Are you trying to say I'm cheap?
You are more capable.
I know this one, two, three.
Just jump there and sing. You'll jump.
Shri Radha Gokulananda ki jai.
सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान
Jai.
जय गौरचंदे आरती को शोभा
Gora Chande Arati Kosho.
शिव जय जय गौरचंदे आरती को शोभा
Krishna. So now we'll say some prayers to end the arti. So I say Jai, Ki, and you say Jai. Jayam Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Stotra Sata Shushima His Divine Grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jayam Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Stotra Sata Shushima His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhara Shiva Sri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki. Rajbhumi Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki. Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki. Ganga Mai Ki. Yamuna Mai Ki. Bhakti Devi Tulasi Maharani Ki. Samaved Bhaktivinoda Ki. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hare Krishna. So now we'll finish the arti with the Nisimra Day's prayers, the prayers for protection. So if everyone can take a seat, and we'll be done in a few minutes, and then they'll serve Mahaprasadam or free vegetarian food out in the reception. Namaste Narasimhaya. Hare Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna. So now we prasad themselves outside in the reception, so please take time before you leave. Thank you everyone for coming for the arati. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Very nice to know.
Thank you.